Okay, welcome everyone to another supplement lecture in RN50, and today we'll be continuing with React, talking more about how you can nest components or kind of put components one inside the other, and we'll be ending up with props. So it's going to be a shorter supplement lecture compared to the last two. The first one, if you recall, being on Git and GitHub, and then we started at React talking about what React was, and we wrote our first web application, which is basically something that said hello, right? So today we're going to be making what we have made a little more interesting. So let's get started. So for a bit of context, this is what we made in last lecture. We essentially, in 28 lines of code, just wrote this website or this app that says hello in an H1, right? But this is not very interesting. So let's talk about component nesting. So it may be very helpful at times to kind of have an app component, which basically just contains everything that you want to render onto your screen, right? Everything that the user should see at the start. And then you have like different components that control different parts of your web application. You know, for example, you may have a hello component, a goodbye component, a login component, a register component, so on and so forth. So you have those components that control different parts. So it may be very helpful to like nest components, so to speak. So let's talk about how to do that. It's very simple technology or code. So let's jump back to our code here. Whoops. And so if you recall, we made this hello component and we're just rendering it using React DOM. So let's actually add something here that says class app, and that extends React. So we're extending React.component. Again, recall that from last week that this essentially what it does is it basically takes in whatever is part of the React.component class and modifies it to add the features of our current app class. So we got a render method here, right? And in this render method, we're just going to write a quick We're just going to write hello. So just like you would put like an H1 or a div, and actually let's put a div. Oops, not a data view. Oh, okay, it won't. There we go. And we can just there we go. We can just close that div. So we've got this hello component, and now we have to make one final change. Okay. So we're rendering the hello component, but instead of rendering the hello component, let's actually just go back to this line that says React DOM. And instead of hello, let's just say app. So let's save that, and it will still render in that div. So let's reload. Oops, something's breaking. So gonna check that again. So let's go back to the code. Oh, okay. Well, so I forgot the return statement. Just bear with me, sometimes happens. There we go. That should hopefully work. And yeah, Perfect. So we have a hello component that's rendered on the screen. So essentially, to summarize there, what we did was we wrote a hello component that basically just renders an h1 saying hello, and we had our app component that renders a div, and inside that div it just renders the hello component. So indirectly the app component's just rendering that same h1, but you can basically think of it as like a flow chart. So you're having the hello component, and that goes down and renders in h1, and then you have the app component. The app component renders the hello component, and the hello component renders an h1. So you can say like the app component's referencing the hello component. Okay, so that was essentially how you nest different components. So we have this code, right? But honestly, this is not very interesting. So if you look at our code here, we could have done this same result in a much shorter way in just plain HTML. And so this really is not what we want, right? So let's talk about props. So props add a slight dynamic appearance to your web page. So they're essentially objects, okay? They're objects that are like passed down from the React.component class to whatever class that it extends. So, you can say that it's like one of those few things that the React.component class passes. So say we want to say hello to someone, okay? So say we want to have around 3 hello components. So we can just say hello, and we can say name is Krishna. Whoops. We can have another hello component in the same div. And I can say Dave. And we can have another hello component. Name is equal to, we can say Julia. So we've got 3 hello components, right? And however, if I save this, what rubs you the wrong way? So I'll reload it. It'll render hello, but that's not what we want, right? We want, hello Julia, hello Krishna, and hello Dave. Why is it not doing this? Well, a simple answer would be that, well, you might think, okay, you said name is equal to, but where have we defined name, right? So we've never just defined name. And so let's actually go and define name. So we have to do that in the hello component. So we can go all the way up to our hello class. Now, next to this hello in the h1, we're going to write this dot props dot name. Now note that name is an arbitrary value, so you can have any name you want, but you have to write this dot props dot name. So that's essentially saying, okay, we're saying hello, and we have an argument, just like you have arguments in functions. That's called name, okay? And these can just be values, so you cannot have methods involved in props. So now if we save and reload, so we have hello Krishna, hello Dave, and hello Julia. Okay, so that's working fine. Now last nuance that you may notice is that we've actually put braces so we've put curly braces to enclose this dot props dot name. So essentially that's some JavaScript syntax, right? Because you're referencing a variable. So any JavaScript syntax that's not just part of JSX and that doesn't render anything to the screen, that's actually enclosed in braces. So if we were to have a button, which we'll see in next lecture, that says that has an on-click property. So in the on-click property, we might have embraces what should happen when the button is clicked. So to summarize, props are essentially arguments passed down to classes, and they're extended from the React.component class all the way down to the other classes. And you can access them by just saying this.props. Whatever name you want. So it just adds this key to the value, and whenever you're rendering this hello component, you can just say hello name is equal to so and so. Just like in HTML, you may say like style is equal to something, or src. Those are actually props in HTML, but those are hard-coded props. So essentially, that's the end of this supplement lecture. It's been quite short, but in next lecture, we're actually going to talk about state, and we're going to be looking at it using a counter application. So see you next time.